Lama. We have got into chapter 3, and it's called The Material and Immaterial World. The Material and Immaterial World. So let's find out what that's about, because that's very cryptic. It's dark this morning, so none of my family are up. We've all found it really difficult to wake up this morning. So far, we have discussed what spiritual practice is in a Buddhist sense, and how we work to change old mental habits and develop new virtuous ones. We do so by means of meditation, a process of familiarising ourselves with the virtues that bring about our happiness. This enables us to embody those virtues and to clearly realise the profound truths that are hidden from us in our daily lives. We shall now examine our mental states are in general much the same way that objects are generated in the physical world. We shall now examine how our mental states are generated in much the same way that objects are generated in the physical world. Buddhists love the word generated. In our physical world, things come into being by combined force of cause and conditions. Everything is cause and effect. A sprout is able to rise because of a seed, water, sunshine, and rich garden soil. Without these elements, the sprout would not have the conditions it needs to germinate and poke through the earth. In the same way, things cease to exist when they meet with the circumstances and conditions for their ending. If matter could evolve free of causation, then either everything would exist eternally in the same state as things would have no need for cause and conditions. If matter could evolve free of causation, but there's always a start, or nothing would come into being at all. Sorry, I'll do that again. If matter could evolve free of causation, then either everything would exist externally in the same state, as things would have no need for cause and conditions, or nothing would come into being at all, there being no way for anything to occur. Either a sprout would exist without the need for a seed, or the sprout could not come into existence at all. Thus we can appreciate that causation is a universal principle. For me, cause and effect, I find it easier to think about it as, unless we imagine something like, Elon Musk putting that fucking car in space. Like, what a waste of a car. And, but it took his stupid brain to come up with that, for it to happen. So there was a cause and effect, and then it was probably some kid experience that caused that to happen, that thought. In Buddhism, we talk of two types of causes. First, there are the substantial causes. In the metaphor above, this would consist of the seed which, with the cooperation of certain conditions, generates an effect that is in its own natural continuum, i.e. the sprout. The conditions that enable the seed to generate its sprout, water, sunlight, soil and fertilizer, would be considered that sprout's cooperative causes or conditions. So, you need a mum, a sperm, and the conditions for that pregnancy to keep going, to have a child or a human. That things arise in dependence upon causes and conditions, whether substantial or cooperative, is not because of the force of people's actions or because of the extraordinary qualities of a Buddha. It is simply the way things are. Well, that's true, because if all the humans died, the birds would carry on, wouldn't they? Arguably better without us. In Buddhism, we believe that non-material things behave in much the same way as material ones do. At the same time, from the Buddhist point of view, our ability to perceive physical matter cannot provide the sole basis for our knowledge of the world. An example of non-material thing might be the concept of time. Oh, time. Now there's a wobbly one. Time is... I don't know this word. Time is concomitant with the physical world, but cannot be pointed to as existing in any material way. And there is also consciousness, the means by which we perceive things and experience pain and pleasure. Consciousness is held not to be physical. Though not physical, our states of mind also come about by causes and conditions much the way things in the physical world do. It is therefore important to develop familiarity with the mechanics of causation. The substantial cause of our present state of mind is the previous moment of mind. Thus, each moment of consciousness serves as the substantial cause of our subsequent awareness. The stimuli experienced by us, visual forms we enjoy or memories we react to, are the cooperative conditions that give our state of mind its character. As with matter, by controlling the conditions, we affect the product, our mind. Meditation should be a skillful method of doing just this, applying a particular condition to our mind in order to bring about the desired effect, a more virtuous mind. Right, virtue and beneficial, simultaneous. Virtue is not a guilt-based thing. It's just what makes more sense. Basically, there is no guilt in Buddhism. It's a bit like Yoda. It's like, just get on with it. If you don't get on with it, find out why you didn't get on with it, and then deal with the reason, and then get on with it. Unless you think getting on with it is a mistake and then don't get on with it. It's just like that. It's not like, oh, please forgive me for all my sins. Basically, this works in two ways. One occurs when a stimulus or cooperative condition gives rise to a state of mind in the same key. Basically, this works in two ways. One occurs when a stimulus or cooperative condition gives rise to a state of mind in the same key. An example of this dynamic might be when we mistrust someone and find that the mere thought of that person occasions more dark feelings. Boris. Other states of mind oppose each other, as when we cultivate a sense of confidence, thereby countering our depression or loss of faith in ourselves. As we recognise the effects of cultivating different mental qualities, we see how we can bring about change to our state of mind. We must remember that this is simply the way the mind works. We can utilise this mechanism to further our spiritual development. As we saw in the last chapter, analytical meditation is the process of carefully applying and cultivating particular thoughts that enhance positive states of mind and diminish, ultimately, and eliminate negative ones. This is how the mechanism of cause and effect is utilised constructively. So, for me, music's a really good one for this. So you put your music on and then you start listening to it, and then something random will come on from when you were little, and you'll either start feeling with nostalgia or you'll start feeling with good memories or bad memories, and then that music will go, and then another one will come up, and then it'll fill me with other memories and da-da-da. And then there'll be one bit of music that comes on and it'll remind me of something completely horrendous that I did in childhood, and I will gradually spiral into my mind and into worries and old anxieties that then spark current anxieties, and so really I try to stay away from music unless it's like, I used to be very against electronic music, but I listen to more of it now, because I don't want to spend lots of hours dealing with unprovoked cause and effect of my mind. I'd rather just not spark the cause. Where were we? I profoundly believe that real spiritual change comes about not by merely praying or wishing that all negative aspects of our minds disappear and all positive aspects blossom. I profoundly believe that real spiritual change comes about not by merely praying or wishing that all negative aspects of our minds disappear and all positive aspects blossom. It is only by our concerted effort, an effort based on understanding of how the mind and its various emotional and psychological states interact, that we can bring about true spiritual progress. If we wish to lessen the power of negative emotions, we must search for the cause that gives rise to them. We must work at removing or uprooting these causes. Okay. Buddhism's really big on this, removing or uprooting, sort of like getting to the nub and then getting rid of the cause. And in a way, okay, so that's the same as getting therapy. So you can work back and you can find the cause. But I think uprooting is quite a violent term. You have to always, I find, be gentle with your mind. So if you're finding that you're jealous, there's no point like rushing in and uprooting the jealousy or whatever. You have to go back in and just say, it's understandable that you feel like this, and you have to be kind to yourself. So it is essentially uprooting and removing, the seed of delusion or the seed of the negative mind. But how you uproot it is really very important. At the same time, we must enhance the mental forces that counter them, what we might call their antidotes. This is how a meditator must gradually bring about the mental transformation he or she seeks. How do we undertake this? First, we identify our particular virtues' opposing factors. The opposing factor of humility would be pride or vanity. The opposing factor of generosity would be stinginess. After identifying these factors, we must endeavour to weaken and undermine them. While we are focused on these opposing factors, we must also be fanning the flames of the virtuous quality we hope to internalise. When we feel most stingy, we must make an extra effort to be generous. And when we feel impatient or judgmental, we must do our utmost to be patient. When we recognise how our thoughts have particular effects on our psychological states... Hello, have you come to join us again? Hi, where have you been? You didn't stay with me last night, did you? Oh, I've gone far too long. Alright, I'll start that bit again.